It is official. The young Spanish star Bryan Gil is going to be joining Tottenham Hotspurs on a swap deal for Erik Lamela alongside the range of 25 million. With Erik Lamela, the 29-year-old Argentinian, finding his way to Sevilla, and Gil being the first signing for Spurs this summer, and what is surely to be someone that can bring a lot of potential and future prowess to Spurs attack. And I'll give it off to Lane here to give his thoughts on this move for Tottenham Hotspurs.
Well, we'll kick it off with the details and the contract talks of this swap deal. Really talking from Fabrizio Romano, the Don himself, saying Bryan Gil will be swapped for Erik Lamela in a swap deal between Tottenham and Sevilla. It is done. Here we go, confirmed. Paperwork will be completed this weekend in order to announce the deal, which is obviously the past 2 days. In the next days, Lamela and 25 million euros to Sevilla. Bryan Gil to Spurs. Contract for Gil until 2026, which for Spurs is huge. I think a 5-year deal tying him down means he'll be at the club for a while. And to bring up a talent, a prospect, a future superstar for Spain and for Tottenham is massive. Obviously, a young talent. You don't expect a Spanish player like this to stay in England for his whole career, but you expect to get some really good years out of him. You'll probably see him eventually move to obviously your Real Madrids, your Atletico Madrid, your Barcelona's in coming years, but I think Tottenham's going to get him for his bright sparks and eventually flip him for a higher deal. And Lamela going the obviously the other way, which is good for a team like Sevilla, maybe on the bench, probably I'd like to say, but he could be starting for Sevilla. For me, this is a brilliant deal for both sides, and for Tottenham, really, you can't go wrong with the Bryan Gil for 25 million and Erik Lamela.
Yeah, I agree. I think getting someone with so much promise and potential at the ripe age of 20 for Tottenham Hotspurs is just a really good deal. I think it's good forward thinking. It allows them to have someone who can come in and behind Son here now and the other plethora of forwards they have up top that can just come in, develop under them, and start to get a bit more comfortable. He doesn't have to come in and be the guy right away. He doesn't have to lead the team. He doesn't have to be a starter day in, day out. But he can learn from some of these guys, start to get a bit of playing time off the bench in some cups. And I think that can be valuable. As you mentioned, I don't suspect that you would see him spend his whole career in the Premier League, like you say, having a young, especially high quality Spaniard like this leave Spain so early in his career is not something you see commonly. But if he continues to develop on the trajectory that he has done so far in his very young career, then there's no reason why you couldn't see him move back to Spain at one of the top clubs. But the sky is really the limit for him. I mean, there's a reason why he has been called by some a young Cruyff or the next type of Cruyff type player. He has that quality on the ball, that playmaking ability, that craftiness, and that skill on the ball that is just not that common. And so if he can continue to develop with Tottenham Hotspurs, ideally for Tottenham, this is going to be someone that can come in and develop over the next few years and have a bit more of an impact towards the back end of that contract. And whether that means that they resign him at the end of that and have him through the prime of his career, or if they sell him on later on and just make a profit on him, I think either way, this is a win and a good signing for Tottenham Hotspur. As far as Sevilla goes, you get back a good chunk of money as well as Lamela. I think Lamela's still a fine player, as you mentioned. He's probably not someone who's going to be a crucial name on the team sheet you're going to see in there week in, week out. But if he can stay healthy, then he definitely can offer something to this team, and health has always been the biggest concern for him. I think when healthy, he can definitely be fairly serviceable, whether that be on the right hand side, on the wing, or as a central cam can be thrown in there as well. He can offer you a bit of flexibility in a depth role, which is something that Sevilla are always going to want, as they're always flirting with several competitions. So I think it's just a good replacement to bring in someone who can still play some of those types of roles that Gil can play, while getting some good money back on someone that is destined for greatness, that is just greater than Sevilla.
Yeah, I completely agree. You summed it up there, destined for greatness. And this Bryan Gil talent, really, he's unbelievable. If you look at some of his stats from FBref, comparing him to other attacking midfielders slash wingers around the world, he is completing around 2.84 dribbles a game, which is in the 89th percentile of wingers slash attacking midfielders. And that is really showing how much he drives with the ball, how much he attacks, showing his attacking prowess. He's really unbelievable in the forward line. And playing alongside Son, I think will bring out the best in Son and Gil, because Gil is probably going to be an expressive youngster, which we all know young players like that are really exciting to watch, and they play with really no pressure at times, depending on who you are. Which I think Gil is a guy who's just going to play with the world on his shoulder and play fantastically. Really, I think in the Prem it's going to be really playing to his style, depending on how Nuno wants to play with this team. But with the players just around him, I'm not sure Bergwijn's going to be there coming into the season. But you still have the likes of Lucas. Who knows about Kane yet? That's going to be interesting. But say Kane's son, Lucas, and you still have now Gil. This is an unbelievable front four for them. And they can go places depending on how Nuno sets his team up and what Nuno can do with this team, because realistically, they got no European competition unless you want to count the conference, which I don't think Tottenham are going to take too seriously, which I don't think they should. So think not too much European football here. Tottenham have a chance at really pushing for that Champions League place. I think Gil is just going to push on and help Tottenham in that. And if you look at Sevilla, like Erik Lamela for me, guys. I think that's a brilliant sign to bring in, along with 25 million. But like you said, injuries are always bad for Lamela, only totaling 717 minutes last year in 23 games with 1 goal, which is very poor for a guy of his caliber, his age. Like you said, he's always injury threatened. But the one thing is, he'll carry the ball, he'll attack, he'll shoot the ball a lot, and he still likes to get back and defend a lot more than most wingers do. Which one stat that really stands out is he makes 2.69 tackles per game, which puts him in the 98th percentile for wingers and attackers, which is phenomenal. But yeah, I don't see how either team goes wrong in this deal at all in the swap deal, which we never see swaps in football at all.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's definitely one that definitely benefits both sides. Some of the swap deals that have been potentially discussed this summer have been a bit odd and questionable as far as the fit for both teams, but this is definitely not one would fall under that category. It makes sense for Sevilla. You get some money and a player who can impact the squad right now, someone in Gil, and for Tottenham, you get someone who can impact right now and is also someone that can just be extremely bright, promising, who has a very high potential for the future. And as you mentioned, as you said, Tottenham are also in the Europa League conference, and as you said, it's just probably not going to be something they will or should prioritize. They should be able to get quite deep in that tournament competition quite comfortably with just the second team. Bryan Gil may be someone who features in a few of those games, depending on how they line up in the Premier League. And that might be how they get a bit of his experience early on and getting comfortable with the system before they want to integrate him into the full-fledged physicality of the Premier League. But I think it's definitely a good signing for Tottenham, as I mentioned, whether that's for long-term retention of him and it's an impact on the team, or even just financially. You're probably going to get a lot more than the value of 25 million in Lamela for him whenever you turn around to sell him. So I think either way for Tottenham Hotspurs, this has to be considered a good deal, and it'll definitely help them, especially if they can keep Harry Kane, try to mount a push back into better European competition this season.
Yeah, I mean, you summed it up completely perfectly for me there. Either way, both teams win in this deal for me. You got a fantastic player in Gill. You got money and Lamella back. It's one of the swap deals that you say, yeah, this suits both teams perfectly. You don't see any complaints here, and it is a very perfect deal for both sides. And I think both teams will be very happy with this deal on each end.
Yeah, most definitely. I would have to agree. But you guys let us know down in the comment section if you guys are happy from both ends of this deal as a Tottenham fan or as a Sevilla fan. How would you feel about it? And how do you think Gil will fit under Tottenham? Do you think he will develop well? Or is it possible that he flounders in the depths of the Premier League? That being said, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how Bryan Gil develops with Tottenham this season and to see his trajectory as someone who could be one of the most promising future stars in football. If you guys did enjoy the video, feel free to leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new for more transfer news updates and season previews and all of the sorts as we enter into the calendar year of league football. You guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you guys in the next one.